माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा जय गोपी जनवल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभा यशोदानंदन व्रज जनर रावणचारी यमुना तीरा जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parikṣit Ashtotra Satashri Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nigamakalpatarorghalitam phalam sukhamukadamruta dravasamyutam pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयं मुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading from Canto 1, Chapter 18, verse 36. It's there on the board. Iti uktvā roṣa-tāmrākṣo. Iti uktvā roṣa-tāmrākṣo vayasyān ṛṣi-bālakaḥ vayasyān ṛṣi-bālakaḥ kauśiky-āpa upaspṛśya kauśiky-āpa upaspṛśya vāg-vajraṁ visasarja vāg-vajraṁ visasarja iti uktvā roṣa-tāmrākṣo vayasyān ṛṣi-bālakaḥ kauśiky-āpa upaspṛśya vāg-vajraṁ visasarja. Iti uktvā roṣa-tāmrākṣo Mataji. Word to word translation. Iti, thus, uktvā, saying, roṣa-tāmrākṣaḥ, with red hot eyes due to being angry, vayasyān, unto the playmates, ṛṣi-bālakaḥ, the son of a rishi, kauśikī, the river Kauśika, āpaḥ, water. Upaspṛśya, by touching. Vāg, words. Vajram, thunderbolt. Visasarja, through. Ha, in the past. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhacharnaravindra Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada ki Jai. The son of the Rishi, his eyes red hot with anger, touched the water of the river Kauśika while speaking to his playmates and discharged the following thunderbolt of words. Purport. The circumstances under which Mahārāja Parīkṣit was cursed were simply childish, as it appears from this verse. Śṛṅgi was showing his impudency among his playmates, who were innocent. Any sane man would have prevented him from doing such great harm to all human society. By killing a king like Mahārāja Parīkṣit, just to make a show of acquired brahminical power, the inexperienced son of a brahmana committed a great mistake. Om Tat Sat. Om Ajnānatimirandasya Jnānāñjana-śalākaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadavahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Krupa Sindhubhyevacha Paditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pakum Nagate Grim Kripatamah Mande Shri Guru Dhintarana Paramananda Bhagavan Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Jayapataka Swamiti Ramangamacara Patanita Gridayane Gaura Patadamdaya Nagaragavate Katanjanaspati Resmin Dushkaram Sukaram Bhavet Vispati Vipuditam Shasititam Namatam Hare Krishna. Before I start, I would like to take the blessings of all the Vaishnavas present here and those who are watching online, so that I may speak a few words for my own purification. So this verse which is being spoken by Sukadeva Goswami, by Śṛṅgi, is about to speak a curse towards Parīkṣit Maharaj. So we are in this chapter which is called Parīkṣit cursed by a brahmana boy. Now the brahmana boy is a young boy who has got brahminical powers but might not have the judgment of what is right and what is wrong and what should be done or what should not be done. So in this situation, in this purport and this verse, we can take two learnings. One is from perspective of Mahārāja Parīkṣit, like how a great devotee like Parīkṣit receives this curse and sees the hand of the Lord in what has happened to him. He is a great Vaishnava and he has done a lot for the kingdom. He has protected, he has defended the kingdom against Kali. So many things he has done, and we know the background of Mahārāja Parīkṣit. He was protected by the Lord in his womb, in the womb of his mother. So he has got the association of the Lord from the womb of his mother. And he comes in the line of Pandavas, the great associates of Lord himself. So such a king being cursed by a young Brahmana boy who just knew a few Brahminical things, and he had the capacity to curse though. So how did Parīkṣit Maharaj take this as the blessings of the Lord, or see the hand of the Lord in what has happened to him? That is one way. The other way is look at it from the Śṛṅgi's perspective, that how a person can very quickly get into the realm of doing Vaishnava Parad. Because such a great Vaishnava, and for a relatively smaller offense, what kind of punishment is this boy throwing with his thunderbolt kind of words, with red hot eyes. In anger, what can a devotee or a person is capable of doing, and that could culminate into Vaishnava Parā. These are the two angles in which we can see. If you see in Bhagavad Gita, initially the first advice, first out of the few advices which Krishna gives is tam stitikshasva bharata, means you have to tolerate. So Krishna advised Arjuna that all the dualities of life needs to be tolerated by everybody. So it is easy for one person to actually say, if something good is happening, we are trained to say it's Krishna's mercy. No, it's Krishna's mercy. Inside the mind will always be shouting, hey, you prepared so well, you have performed so well, you have done it. But outside we say it's Krishna's mercy. It's very easy for us to attribute the success to the Lord. When something is going on positively, it is easy for us to attribute the success to the Lord. At least externally we are happy doing that. But when something negative happens, when something negative falls upon us or our dear ones, whether it could be bodily harm, it could be an insult, it could be a financial loss. Bodily harm is at a physical level, financial loss is at a mental level, and dishonor is at a level of false ego. When these things come to us, are we able to see the hand of the Lord like how Parīkṣit Maharaj was able to see? It is very difficult in that sense. This needs a lot of training and always being in Krishna consciousness. This is what the training that we need to take. So if one is able to decipher that potentially there could be so many things which could go wrong in one's life in every day. We could just be going out. Okay, we have heard so many stories. Recently also we heard a devotee who was just going and giving some food to one of his devotee friend's father and coming back, and something happened and the devotee met with an accident and left his body. So, and one could just be walking and somebody who is inebriated with some kind of intoxicant could do a terrible mistake of driving and drive over them and they could lose a limb. Or it could just be somebody who's just, or it could just be like, losing life or losing a chappal, anything in between. Everything could happen in a day. But it doesn't happen, we consider it as to be a normal day. So if you understand that, if you are sitting here, our chappal could be taken by some innocent person who thinks it is theirs. That also we should understand that it is today my chappal is still here. The Lord has protected my chappal. No, we say it's a normal day. But the day even a person leaves the body or something happens to us, something negative for that matter, a dishonor happens to us. Okay, daily somebody is actually wishing, and one day they are immersed in some thought and they don't wish you. Look at this guy, didn't even wish me. Dishonor is going to be very, very difficult for a person to digest. So when negative things happen, how does one see that there is the Lord's hand in everything which is happening to him? Sripada Ainda Prabhu, in one of his conversations, he's saying there is a difference between a dog consciousness and a lion consciousness. He says that when somebody goes and throws a bone to the dog, what does the dog see? Dog sees food. Dog sees food. He's happy. He's just seeing, he's playing around with the bone and he's happy with the bone. Whereas if you go and throw the same bone to a lion, the lion probably notices the bone for a second and then there is a long stare at the person who threw it. Right? So, if a person is actually attributing everything to the person who's coming and giving him the message, the carrier of the message, you don't go and thank the postman for the money order which you received. You thank the person who sent it. Similarly, if something negative is coming to us, we must train ourselves to identify that the sender is somebody else. It is a carrier. What's the point in offending a carrier? I deserved whatever I am getting today. I fully deserved as per my karma, and Krishna has mercifully sanctioned it. And the knowledge which we have to understand is Krishna is omniscient, he knows everything, omnipotent, he can do anything. And omnipresent, He is present everywhere, including in us and in the person who is coming to us, coming with that seemingly negative situation for us. If you are not able to see the hand of the Lord in everything which happens to us, including and mainly the negative, then it is lack of Krishna consciousness. If you are attributing an insult to the person who is actually throwing the insult to us, and forgetting that we are actually deserving that insult which we are getting, we are actually deserving the loss which we are getting. Krishna is only doing those things which will make us progress towards Him, because He is a loving Father at the end of the day. A loving Father, not just a father, a loving Father who knows what the jiva wants in order to go back home, back to Godhead. And especially to those devotees who have at least theoretically surrendered, saying that Krishna, I want to come back to you. Krishna, I want Krishna Prem. We say this every day. If you have theoretically said this also, then Krishna knows how to treat us in order to make us mature to go back home, back to Godhead. So everything which comes to us has a reason. Without a reason, nothing will happen. So this is one learning which from the Parīkṣit Maharaj's angle that we can understand. Parīkṣit, as I said, is a very big Vaishnava. Has association of the Lord from the days when he was spending his time in the womb. When he was born, when the brahmanas came and told Yudhishthira Maharaj what kind of a child this is, what kind of a king he'll become, they compared him to Ikshvaku. They compared him to Lord Ramachandra. They compared him to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana. They compared him to Manu. So many kings, good qualities are there in Parīkṣit Maharaj. And he was the one who did all the right things. After Yudhishthira Maharaj left, when he started taking care of the kingdom, Kali came. And after that, he defended Kali. He stopped Kali from progressing in his jurisdiction. He did all the things right. But one slip, it's not a slip, basically it's the Lord's design, that he had to go for that hunting session, and he got thirsty. Kshatriyas are trained to be thirsty and hungry for a long time during wars. So he got thirsty, and he got carried away with that, and he went to the ashram of the Rishi, Shamik Rishi, and then he did what he did he thought that he got insulted. So just small thing which he did, and Śṛṅgi had the audacity to curse to him to death. That too by a snake bird called Takshaka, who has no death. So he wanted to ensure that Parīkṣit Maharaj goes through with his punishment. So this anyways could mount to Vaishnava Aparadha very, very soon. But Prabhupada says in his purports that the Lord ensured that this curse was hurled by a young boy so that he could be forgiven very easily. That's the Lord's design. He did not make this curse to be told by another intelligent and responsible person. In that way, that person would have got some reaction. Like we remember that case when the Rishi was given more punishment by Yamaraj. Yamaraj got cursed to become Vidura, to become a Shudra. So there is equal and opposite reaction there. But in this case, Śṛṅgi was just chastised. Like, what are you doing? Go inside. You did a wrong thing. But for us, for practicing devotees, the learning from this is there could be easy way for us to actually offend somebody, especially Vaishnavas. We have heard that this Vaishnava aparadh, Vaishnava ninda is such a big issue for our bhakti, because first of all our bhakti lata is weak, could be weak. I'm speaking for myself. So if the bhakti lata is weak, then if an elephant comes into that particular garden, what is the probability that bhakti lata will still remain after that elephant has moved from that garden? It's very, very difficult. So we see so many instances which has been mentioned here, which is Vaishnava Aparadh has been committed by that person, and whatever the reason for which he committed that particular act, that was not satisfied also. For example, let us say this case where we are speaking about the rishi who was meditating underwater, Shaubari Muni. It starts with what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, that Shaubari Muni, what he did because there was an offense which he did towards Garuda. Now, Garuda is a Vaishnava, a pure devotee. If somebody has got an opportunity to carry the Lord on his back, it means to say that he's achieved something, he's arrived in terms of devotion. Daily the Lord calls him and he carries him on his back. So such a Garuda, one of his food item is fish. Now we have to use our intelligence to say, "Arey, how come Vaishnava is eating fish?" No, that is all for us. So Garuda, at the end of the day, he's a eagle, right? And eagle's food is fish and scorpions and snakes. So he wanted to eat fish from a particular lake in Yamuna. He liked it. He wanted to go and do that. But whenever he went there, there will be a lot of commotion because Garuda would eat in nice quantity. And so the fishes went to Shaubari Muni and they complained. They said, "Please, can you help?" First offense committed by the fish is that they went to the wrong person. They should have gone to the Lord. Or they should have just understood that, okay, Garuda is eating us means to say our life is now fully complete. Haribol. We can go back to God. Because satisfying the desire of a pure Vaishnava could be one's life's goal. The fish went to Shaubari Muni, and Shaubari Muni, he transgressed his jurisdiction. He commanded Garuda, saying that if you come here again, it's not going to be good. You're going to die. First of all, he transgressed his jurisdiction. He commanded a Vaishnava. And then he expected him to follow it. And second of all, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that second reason why Shaubari Muni committed an offense is he did not allow the Vaishnava to satisfy his desires. He wanted to eat fish, no. He should have allowed. So what happened? Garuda, out of respect, did not go again. Because of this curse, Kaliya realized that Garuda cannot come there, and Kaliya started residing in that particular lake. So what happened? The poison of Kaliya spread into the entire lake, and those very fishes which Shaubari Muni wanted to save, all of them died en masse. So the purpose with which this particular Vaishnava offense was committed, that also is not valid. That also is not valid. The fish anyway died. They could have died being the food for Garuda at least. No, he did not do that. Because of that, what happened? That very same fish which he is trying to save, they distracted him, or they became the reason for his distraction. He was meditating, he saw the two fish coming together, and he got distracted. His entire life savings of his austerity, he used to make himself more beautiful and marry the daughters of the king. So Vaishnava Aparadha committed towards Garuda led Shaubari Muni to fall down. This is the kind of grave danger that Vaishnava Aparadha can put a devotee into. Grave danger. That the very purpose for which we are doing that particular activity is null and void. Null and void. Similar example we can see in Daksha. Daksha, what did he do? He wanted to take a class for Shiva on manners. He was doing a yajna. Agnis were there, all the demigods were there, Bhrigu was there, many people were there. And then when he came, Daksha is who? Daksha is a Prajapati, son of Brahma, great personality who's trying to do the service for Brahma. And then when he comes, everybody gets up from their seat to give him some respect. Everybody. Except Brahma and Shiva. Why? Because Shiva is anyways a supreme person for this entire material world. And Brahma is his father. But Daksha's mentality or Daksha's mindset was that this Shiva is married to my daughter Sati. He is my son-in-law, lower than me. So he should have got up. In that mindset, he started speaking in that assembly. But when he starts speaking, he starts with a very nice statement. He says that I am not speaking out of ignorance or of envy. This is how he starts. I do not speak out of ignorance or envy. But if you see, both ignorance and envy were totally there inside Daksha in that particular situation. He was both ignorant and envious. He was envious of the position of Shiva and ignorant of the fact and the relationship between him and Shiva. So he started speaking and he cursed to his heart's content. That made Sati very sad. That made Nandishwaras angry. He cursed and there was counter curse from Bhrigu. There was lot of commotion and Shiva left. Shiva left because he is very mature in his dealings. Shiva did not do anything at that point in time. But then because of the actions of Daksha, which is a Vaishnava approach towards Shiva, Sati became offended and Sati left her body after a lot of big advices to Daksha. Sati left her body. She burnt herself in the fire of her austerity. Because of that, when Shiva heard that incident, he became completely angry and he called his team and he said, go and kill Daksha and his supporters. All those ghastly people started running towards the sacrificial arena, and then they caught hold of Daksha, Bhrigu, all his supporters they caught hold of. What happened at the end of that scene? Daksha could not give a lesson on discipline to Shiva. He lost his head. He lost his daughter. His friends, some of them lost an eye, some of them lost teeth. All these things happened and the yajna was not completed. So a Vaishnava aparadh can lead to the destruction of the very self, whatever you wanted to defend, that itself is lost. He wanted to discipline Shiva, that the entire discipline in the arena is lost. Shaubari Muni wanted to protect the fish. He lost the fish and also his austerity. Similarly, we have to ensure that we are very, very careful in our dealings with Vaishnavas. Very, very dangerous. Our purpose in this human body is to ensure that we have to purify ourselves and make us eligible to be at least stand in the line to go back home, back to Godhead. Whether we are able to go or not, that's a different question. At least stand in line to become qualified. Now, what we do is that we are always trying to see and compare. Comparison of other Vaishnavas with ourselves or between two Vaishnavas. Very, very dangerous job. Very, very dangerous job. So, one person can actually do three kinds of offense in a devotee circle. One is judging a devotee without having proper jurisdiction on the devotee. If somebody needs to be judged, somebody needs to be advised, then the other person should give the adhikar. The adhikar should be there, either as a spiritual master, or as a person who is guiding, or as a husband to the wife, or as one should be senior in age and that age difference should be accepted by the other person. There should be many levels of seniorities and that seniority should be there with that person, or else if we transgress that jurisdiction, it is going to be a Vaishnava aparadha, and even observing some fault in a person could be very dangerous for us. Observing a fault. Speaking about devotees without verifying the topic. We hear, oh, this devotee, so such and such thing happened. Oh, is it? There is this vasana of gossip which is there from our previous life. That gossip comes up. Said, is that so? Curious to know what is happening. Curiosity will kill the cat, as per the English saying. Curiosity will kill the cat. And in this case, it will kill the bhakti lata also, if we are offending. And then offending in rage by direct speech, by action, by going and speaking to somebody. If we don't know, because there are so many plain-clothed Vaishnava here, we can't identify who is a proper Vaishnava or not. It's very, very dangerous for us to deal with this community because every devotee is a potential Vaishnava. Bhakti Vinod Thakur writes one essay in a journal called Sajjana Toshani, and that is called Vaishnava Ninda. This has been an excerpt of this is nicely been translated by His Grace Vidwan Gauranga Prabhu. It is available in the bookstore. It's an amazing essay which is written by him. He says that there are 4 ways in which the evil-minded people speak about Vaishnavas. The 4 topics in which the evil-minded devotees speak about Vaishnavas. What are they speak? They speak about a person's defects which was there before he became a pure devotee. Before somebody became a pure devotee, there are some defects, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsari. They might have seen something in that devotee and they speak about that. That discussion the evil-minded people do, that is amounting to Vaishnava Parad. Or the second category of discussion could be that small amount of defect which is left while he is about to become a pure devotee. That discussion also is called Vaishnava Parad. That small amount, but they just focus like, there was this teacher who came to the class, and then there was a white chart, and there was a dot at the middle of the chart. And then he asked all the students, can you write an essay of whatever you see? Everybody started writing. They took 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 40 minutes to write that essay. And they wrote. Each and every one of them had written, how does the dot look? What is the position of the dot in the middle of the paper? How big the dot is? What is the color of the dot? What does the dot represent? What do they feel about this dot? Then the teacher reminded, see, there is an entire white sheet and you see a small dot, and you all started focusing on that one dot. The entire white sheet is pending for you to comment. This is exactly what we all try to do. Atmavat manyate jagat. We all believe that everybody else is exactly like us, whether in purity or in action or in thought process. This is why some of the very nice devotees, they feel that other devotees or other people are also very, very pure like them, they get cheated. It is also the same reason. Atmavat manyate jagat. They believe that, other person must also be very nice. He will not cheat me. So whatever the other person says, this person is agreeing. This is Atmavat manyate jagat. So the other way around is that when we see that this particular person is able to commit a particular mistake or an offense, it means to say most often, many a times it means to say that we are capable of committing that error in that particular situation. That is the reason we think that other person is also commit that. This is Atmavat manyate jagat. So if in many of the times, these crime branch police people, when they are confused on what is the thief going to do next, if there is a series of crimes, they call other thieves and they ask him, in this situation, what would you do? Because they want to get a perspective of a thief. So a police would have thought, no, I would go out of the window, I would go out of this door, like that. But the thief will say, I will go under this particular place. They wouldn't have thought about it. So a perspective of a thief is enabling them to actually catch another thief. This is what is called Atmavat manyate jagat. The thief is able to think like a thief. An offender is able to think like an offender. That is the reason the other person sees, hey, this person is going to offend, this person is going to do that. He might not even have that thought remotely in his mind, remotely. But other person thinks, no, this person is capable of doing it. This is called Atmavat manyate jagat. So the second category of discussion which devotees could do, or evil-minded people could do about a Vaishnava, is that little qualities which is left in that particular Vaishnava before he becomes a pure devotee. And then the third category is that is spotlessly pure devotee, but by some providence, something happens and he is a part of some bad event. Something. It could be possible with anybody. And unfortunately, he is a part of a particular activity which is considered to be bad. They start speaking more about that than anything else which the devotee has done. This is also Vaishnava Parad. The third category which Bhakti Vinod Thakur describes in his essay. And the fourth, of course, is plain, simple false blames, false accusations. These are the 4 categories of Vaishnava aparadha. And he says the rest of it is, if there is anything else, anything other than the kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya and small issues with that person, he cannot be even categorized as Vaishnava. Because he gives this explanation also that, there is always confusion and a question saying that if everything mounts to Vaishnava aparadha, how can we save ourselves? Everything doesn't mount to Vaishnava aparadha, but we should not try and experiment. Will this mount to Vaishnava aparadha? We should not try and experiment. So these are the 4 categories in which the Vaishnava aparadha gets committed. So then is it, can't we discuss anything at all? Is the next question which he asks in that essay. We can. He says that there are situations in which you can discuss. What are the situations in which you can discuss a person's fault? A person's fault can be discussed if there is auspiciousness for that person. This is not speaking about Vaishnava. I'm speaking about any person's fault. Because the theory is that if we speak about anybody's fault and tomorrow he becomes a pure devotee, it mounts to Vaishnava aparadha. That is true. So if we speak about somebody's fault today and tomorrow he becomes a pure devotee, it is mounting to Vaishnava aparadha. It's very, very difficult to handle that kind of situation. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur clarifies, saying that a person's fault can be spoken in 4 situations. One is if it can bring auspiciousness for that person by discussing that. If it can bring 3 cases actually. One brings auspiciousness for that person. Second is if that discussion can bring about auspiciousness for the entire world, the Loka Kalyan. Or else we can't discuss about the mistakes which were done by Jagai and Madai. They later on became Vaishnavas. This is Vaishnava aparadha. But he says no, this is discussable because this particular instance actually gives opportunity for Loka Kalyan. And so this is possible. It is not a fault. And the third is that if that discussion gives auspiciousness to the person who is discussing. If it is any other intention of just time pass, should avoid. If we don't have a jurisdiction on that person, avoid. If we do not know what are the right facts, avoid. Because getting into this realm of Vaishnava aparadha, Śṛṅgi escaped because he was a small boy and more so because it was ordained by the Lord. Any other situation which is not ordained by the Lord and initiated by that person, they have got into trouble, be it Shaubari Muni or Daksha or many other cases for that matter. We have heard it in Bhagavatam and many other stories. So, Parīkṣit Maharaj was a great devotee. Śṛṅgi was a small, untrained brahminical boy who had the capacity to curse but did not know whom to curse. Parīkṣit Maharaj took it in the right spirit and then he went and surrendered to Sukadeva Goswami and we have this great Bhagavatam in our hand. So that instance which is ordained by the Lord, even inauspiciousness can be converted and it becomes auspicious. The so-called curse by the Śṛṅgi towards Parīkṣit Maharaj led to us getting Bhagavatam. So this auspiciousness is created by the Lord. But any other instance which we discussed just now, with Shaubari Muni losing his entire power, Daksha losing his head also. Of course he got the goat head later, but what is a Prajapati with a goat head? What kind of a respect will he have? Because every time everybody speaks about Daksha, he does not speak about the prowess and the power of Daksha. They only speak about the offense which he created towards Shiva and the kind of goat head which he got. That is what is spoken. Shaubari Muni, he did so much of meditation and he accumulated so much of austerity. Nobody speaks about that austerity. The story of Shaubari Muni, the moral is not that. The moral is that he fell down from his position as a meditator under the water just by the distraction of the fish. Not even the tanmatra of the same species. Not even the tanmatra of the same species. A different species. That's high level of ignorance. This kind of ignorance is possible only if a Vaishnava aparadha is committed. When we see that our thought process is going towards being from sattva to rajas to tama, we should identify that have we done anything, something which is wrong, and go in front of Prabhupada, go in front of Panchatattva and pray, chant like mad. Only other Vaishnavas can save us or bestow us more mercy, or else it's not possible. So Vaishnava Parad, we should all try to save ourselves from. And or else what happens is that, Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj says that those devotees who have done Vaishnava Parad and get into this realm, they get caught by the same activity which they were all preaching against. As in, if they are preaching that don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, and they commit some Vaishnava Parad elsewhere, they get caught in that very particular activity they were saying don't do. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj recollects in his reflections of sacred teachings on Harinam Chintamani. He says, we can see the consequence of an aparad even in our own environment. Sometimes a devotee may seem quite strong in his spiritual practices, but suddenly falls prey to a serious deviation. Even though the devotee had knowledge and strength, he may fall prey to the very deviation that he preached against. This is the quality of Vaishnava Parad. So, nobody stops us from preaching against a thing which is to be preached against. But when we are preaching, we should be very clear that we should not commit that offense. And the biggest offense which we could create is a Vaishnava Parad, which is very, very difficult for us to overcome later. So, this particular who is a Vaishnava has been clarified in many places, especially in the 11th canto, 2nd chapter, verse 45, 46, 47. It differentiates the different categories of Vaishnava, Kanishtadhikari, Madhyamadhikari and Uttamadhikari. We know this. The person who does not differentiate between any person who is like a devotee and a non-devotee, he is a Uttamadhikari. And a person who differentiates and he behaves differently with different categories of people, prema, maitri, kripa, upeksha, with people who are senior and the Lord and the senior acharyas, with them we exhibit love. With probably the similar kind of devotees we exhibit maitri, friendship. The Madhyamadhikari exhibits maitri, friendship. And then for people who are ignorant, there is kripa, there is mercy which the devotee shows. And then for people who are arrogant and anti-Krishna and anti-Vaishnavas, there is upeksha, ignore them. These 4 categories of actions that a Madhyamadhikari takes. And then the Kanishtadhikari is mostly attached to the deity and not to the devotees. So all these 3 are categories of Vaishnavas. And Bhakti Vinod Thakur in his essay again clarifies it in a different way. He says that, like how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, that a person is considered to be a Kanishtadhikari if he has just chanted Krishna even once. He is considered to be a Madhyamadhikari if he continuously keeps chanting Krishna or the holy names of the Lord. And that devotee in whose presence the other people start chanting, he is considered to be Uttamadhikari. So these kind of devotee differentiations are there, the Vaishnava differentiations are there, the different ways in which a Vaishnava aparad can be done is known in that particular essay, and it's very useful for us to know. And also the ways in which one can actually discuss other person's mistakes for the benefit of either the self or the welfare of the society or for the welfare of the other person, this is allowed. So this summary is there, and we can learn all these things from this particular instance where Śṛṅgi is cursing Parīkṣit Maharaj. With this we can stop. Any comments? We can go ahead and have those comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Very nice of it. Prabhu, actually the devotees do believe that nothing can take place without the sanction of the Lord. And no one is directly responsible for being a benefactor or mischief monger without the sanction of the Lord. So that is the reality. Then how a human being is directly blaming for his either of his good or bad acts? And if it is the case, the Śṛṅgi is a small boy, it's also not his own behavior, it's also God's creation. Then suppose if we can talk about Śṛṅgi, is it offense?
Yeah, because that's exactly what Prabhupada also says, that Śṛṅgi, it is an offense if it was done by somebody who was more intelligent, but since he was a small boy, Prabhupada says that it was made by the Lord for that the curse be told by a smaller boy so that he could be forgiven. Because the entire purpose was different. The entire purpose was that Parīkṣit Maharaj need to be told that he has to leave his kingdom and go, and he had to sit in front of Sukadeva Goswami, and Sukadeva Goswami is supposed to narrate the entire Bhagavatam, and we are supposed to receive Bhagavatam. The purpose is different and it is ordained by the Lord. So this is just like what is orchestrated by the Lord. So in that way, but the entire other human beings who know or knowledgeable people are supposed to attribute everything to the Lord, good or bad. Is that?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I didn't understand what you meant by when you said that if someone corrects somebody else and tomorrow if he becomes a Vaishnava, I didn't understand that fear.
Not correcting, offending.
Offending.
So if it is said that, I can ask Achin Chaitanya Prabhu to comment on that. He said that if we offend somebody today and tomorrow that person becomes a Vaishnava, pure devotee, our action today amounts to Vaishnava Aparadh. That's what I've heard. I don't know whether there is any praman for that.
You are not sure about that, Prabhuji?
That's what I'm saying. I've heard it in lectures, but I don't know. I don't have a praman. I've asked for somebody. I have to get back on that.
I was very, I couldn't understand
that is what it is.
What
In
it
one of the
was.
lectures on Vaishnava Aparadh, this was told. I should have identified the source. Unfortunately, I could not identify the source. But it sounded like a good thing to defend ourselves against. I mean, be very careful, much more than, because we don't know who is a Vaishnava. So, in that way, we can be safe than sorry. So if you, offending Vaishnava means that you blaspheme them for no reason. So if you blaspheme anybody for no reason, that is wrong morally. But if that person becomes a Vaishnava, I have heard that it amounts to Vaishnava Aparadh later.
Anyways, it's not so clear, so let's forget it. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
We all know we should not commit Vaishnava offense. Sometimes knowingly, especially in the case if someone has caused trouble or we are hurt by someone, unknowingly sometimes we do. So how we can avoid that?
By the same thing, that understanding that there is the Lord's hand in whatever has come to us, and we exactly deserved whatever we got. By understanding this at a practical level, when we understand that when the Lord is the master of everything, and He is the enjoyer, when we understand that He is the enjoyer and we stop our enjoying propensity, that is a practical application of that, the understanding that the Lord is the enjoyer. If He says that I am the protector of everybody, then we lose our interest to artificially protect ourselves. That is the practical application of the understanding that the Lord is the protector. And He is the Maheshwara, He is the owner of everything. If you understand that, and we lose our propensity to be lording over the entire material nature. That is the practical application of that particular understanding. Similarly, if we are able to understand practically that the Lord's hand is there in whatever I am getting, then we will not hone or nurture the grudge against this person, whoever did something to us, knowingly or unknowingly. When we say unknowingly we are committing offense against that person, actually we should introspect that particular thought of ours. It is not unknowingly. We know that this person has committed something to us. Our false ego says that it is wrong that that person did something to us. Our mind says, I am hurt, come on, defend. Don't you have self-respect? Why are you doing this? So this mind and false ego convinces us that whatever has come to us is actually we don't deserve it, and it has come to us by wrongdoing of the other person. Here our eyes are completely closed towards the role of Krishna. Krishna has sanctioned it, probably for us to reflect upon it and identify the hand of Krishna. Or if we are too ahead of our own time, probably Krishna wants to get angry with that person and go away from Krishna consciousness. I don't know. Anything is possible. It depends on how you react. The jiva's free will, how the jiva uses the free will in that situation. They say, no, in the modern world, they say 10% is what it comes to you, 90% is a reaction to what happens. So how you react to it? So your reaction, if you are understanding that there is Krishna and his Krishna has ordained it, then it is a Vaishnava understanding. But if you think that that person did something to me, tomorrow I'll break his bones when he comes to me, that is going to be a wrong understanding. This is my thought.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Prabhu.
There was one very famous politician who said that if somebody slaps you on one cheek, you just show the other one. And you're saying that whatever is happening to me is by the mercy of the Lord. So can you just relate between these two thought processes?
So, see, whatever is happening to me is the mercy of the Lord. We are all practicing Vaishnavas, or we're trying to be Vaishnavas. We're practicing devotees. I feel very scared to call myself practicing Vaishnava. At least in English it sounds better. We are practicing devotees. Okay, when something comes to us which is not palatable, we consider that to be the mercy of the Lord. This is our understanding, and we go on with our sadhana. This think about somebody doing something bad to you and showing the other cheek means to say that you are actually not even acknowledging the fact that going towards that direction is going to be detrimental to your own self, personally, mentally, or for your existence. So if somebody is doing some harm to you, going back to that person again and again is not intelligent. Like, there is some dharma which you're supposed to do. Like, for example, if whatever varna ashrama you are following, there is a dharma to that. We need to follow that dharma, and then we must say that whatever comes to us, it's according to the Lord. Like, somebody else asked me, if you say that everything is done by the Lord, then why are we even doing any financial planning? Why are we doing any saving? It's not that the bank balance is going to save us. As a grahastha, you're supposed to do certain activities, you do that, but without any kind of hope that this is going to save me. With a complete understanding that Krishna is only who is saving me, and whatever happens to this particular investment or saving, let it happen. So if somebody is like the proverbial slap on the face, you turning the other cheek means that you're tolerant. That is what it means. You're tolerant in the situation. That is what that entire, it's not a politician, it was told by Jesus Christ, but a politician must have repeated it. So he said that you have to show the other cheek also. Means to say you have to tolerate. You have to tolerate, but you have to do due diligence of, according to your varna and ashrama, you do your due diligence. But then have the complete understanding that Krishna is the one. If again there is a slap, it is Krishna only slapping me. So this differentiation we must have, is what I think. Thank you very much. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanande.